Good Sunday morning. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Chris Ramirez. We are starting off with mostly quiet conditions here across the Houston area, but more downpours are possible today. We are going to track those daily rain chances each and every afternoon for the next few days, and we're also looking at an active tropics. We're heading close to the peak of hurricane season, and we're unfortunately going to start seeing more activity out in the Atlantic Ocean. So temps right now as we head out the door, we are in the 80s and 70s, Conroe at 77, Sugar Land at 79. As we look at the rest of our Sunday, we're going to see those high temps top out in the upper 80s, low 90s, but we do have to pay attention to those showers and storms later on this afternoon between the hours of 2 and 5 p.m. So high temps are still going to be hot and humid. You're going to want to practice those heat safety measures, stay hydrated. I know a lot of us like to go for morning runs or evening runs. It's still just the humidity is going to make it feel a few degrees hotter later on today. So as we look at the 8 o'clock hour, right now, conditions are quiet across Houston, but that's not the case for areas along the coast, especially from Freeport to Galveston. It's this storm activity that we're tracking along the coast that's going to eventually move inland, and we're already starting to see a downpour moving in around the League City area. So just keep that in mind that if you are traveling, maybe heading to the back to school shopping and taking advantage of the tax-free weekend, we could see those downpours move into the Houston area at least between 12 and about 4 or 5 p.m. So definitely keep that in mind. It could see a similar setup of what we saw yesterday, with some of those storms are going to be along the I-10 corridor, likely maybe west of the Houston area, maybe in around the Katy area. And then Monday, models are hinting that we could see start off Monday pretty stormy going into around the 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock hour. But I think we're going to see most of that rain activity in the afternoon, in the early part of the evening. So feels like temps once again ranging between 99 and 100 when you factor in the humidity, and it's going to be all the more hotter for tomorrow as well, getting up to 103, feeling like 104 out at Bush Airport. So as we look at the weather pattern, we have high pressure situated off towards the west of us. We're also being influenced by a little minor upper level disturbance that's hugging the Texas coast, and it's really just keeping things unstable for us as we progress through the next few days. And so unfortunately, if you are a fan of the rain chances, good news, because we're not going to really see that go away anytime soon. So daily afternoon rain chances through the rest of the week as the kiddos head back to school. So make sure to pack an umbrella or a rain jacket or maybe some protective shoe wear. I don't know, because we are expecting to see probably some puddles out on those sidewalks as they're making their way to and from the bus stop or to and from school later on in the afternoon. The tropics, pretty active. We are seeing a mid-Atlantic system. This is disturbance number 1. It has a 20% chance of development within the next 7 days. Disturbance number 2 is emerging off the African coast. As of this morning, the National Hurricane Center has upped that to 70% chance of development within the next 7 days. And it very well could be our first hurricane through the next few days, especially out in the Atlantic Ocean. So as we look at this system, it's something that we're going to have to watch pretty closely in the coming days, especially for this week, because as we get closer towards maybe August 15th through 17th, this could edge closer to the Caribbean islands. And the reason why we are tracking 2 systems is that we have that mid-Atlantic system, the one that has a 20% chance. That's going to be taking the path of least resistance. Usually these tropical systems love to avoid these high pressure systems. They don't like the highs and they're going to avoid it. So this one's going to take the path of least resistance, move northward, likely could strengthen into maybe a tropical storm, but it's eventually going to come into contact with warmer, colder waters, and so it's likely that's going to be a fish storm. But then it's this system that's off the African coast, the one that we're keeping an eye on. That's going to take a more southerly track, and it's going to survive that long journey across the Atlantic south of these high pressure systems in the coming days. So it's really going to be less influenced by these highs that are to the north of it. However, as it makes that northerly approach, as it nears Puerto Rico, the uncertainty is where that could be headed. So models are indicating that we could see a high off near Florida in the East Coast U.S. That will protect the U.S. from that system, and it could take the path of least resistance, or it could maybe head further south of there. And this is not really what we want to see here across the Gulf if it takes that more southerly track. But there's still a lot of uncertainty on where it's headed. We have to wait for this system to form before we get a better idea of where it could be headed, and we're going to get better estimates as we head into the coming days once that system starts strengthening. So that's why I have a question mark right there. So we're going to have to watch that next week As we head closer to the peak of hurricane season, if we do get a named storm, the next name on the list is Aaron. We still have Fernand, Gabriel, Humberto, Imelda, Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, Nestor. If your name's on the list, congratulations. But if it's not, maybe wait until a few years. Maybe it will be on the list maybe in the near future. Above normal temperatures expected for much of Texas and southeast U.S. as we head into the August 16th to August 20th. And what that means is that we usually see a high of 96 degrees here in Houston. There's a high chance that we're going to see temps above that. And it's going to be the rain chances are going to keep us a bit cooler, but we very well could see 96, 97s out there for the next few days. But as we look at that 7-day forecast, we're just going to continue to track those rain chances each and every afternoon through the next few days. It's looking more likely that today and Monday are going to be the days that we're going to see higher rain chances. And then models are hinting that we could see more of a disturbance move through by Friday and Saturday that could up those rain chances once again and showing that scattered storm activity. So thank you for watching KHOU 11 Plus. This is the extended forecast, which we will go ahead, and if you're just now tuning in, we'll go ahead and start in recap of what I've been talking about earlier this morning. And so we're starting off mostly quiet. We're able to see some of these cumulus clouds that are just in the distance. This is looking at the Texas Medical Center. It's those little puffy clouds that really could start forming into those downpours as we progress through the day and through the afternoon hours. I believe those are over the coastal areas. I know you can see them this far in the Med Center, but looking at the headlines, more downpours expected today, daily rain chances persisting for the next 7 days, and then of course, like I just mentioned, the tropics being active, and temps are going to remain warm and humid at least for every afternoon. July and August usually are warmest months of the year, and that's going to be the case at least through the rest of the month. We're not really going to see that first fall cold front at least until September. But as we plan the rest of our Sunday, we're going to have to really keep an eye out on the downpour potential, especially between 1 to 5 p.m. High temps likely to be in the mid-90s. Some areas that do receive that rain could very well likely end up cooler. That's why you're seeing maybe an 85 in Katy, 89 in Baytown, 94 in Conroe. So areas that don't receive rain are ultimately going to remain in the 90s. But it's those those coastal storms that are currently just hugging the Texas coast from Galveston along 45 and around the League City area and around the Freeport area. We're just waiting for that sea breeze front. It happens every single day, and it's been happening every single day. It usually starts moving inland during the afternoon hours in the warmest parts of our day. And so we very well could see those downpours move through and bring us some rain and storm potential through the afternoon hours. And that's what our future track model is showing. And it could be a similar setup of what we saw yesterday. Yesterday, we had more of the rain just west of downtown Houston. Katy was dealing with some downpours, and that very well likely could be the case today. That's what our future track model is showing, that it's likely West Houston along I-10 could see more of those downpours later on this afternoon, but we can't rule out a hit or miss storm or shower through the rest of the day for all of us here across the Houston area. And then Monday, could see another disturbance. We're tracking some tropical moisture that's just hugging the Gulf Coast, and that is going to bring some scattered showers and storms from Monday by 6 to 7 a.m. And eventually, usually when we have those outflow boundaries, we usually have more storm activity form along those boundaries. But we're keeping an eye on that as we go into Monday morning, that we could see more of that rain chance in the picture as we're still dealing with an unstable atmosphere. Also practice the heat safety measures. It's going to be hot and humid out there, still feeling like 99 to 100 degrees. We are also anticipating it to be a little bit hotter tomorrow, and this could fuel more storm activity as well as slightly warmer conditions. So still feeling between 103 to 104 degrees. It's just we're going to keep that rain chance in the picture at least for the next 7 days, each and every afternoon, likely to have that storm potential and isolated downpour potential. As far as the tropics, like I said, 20% chance of development. We have disturbance number 1, disturbance number 2, that's just off the African coast. This has a 20% chance of development within the next 7 days. It's very well likely that this system right here is really just going to head up to the north. You're able to see that in the National Hurricane Center's forecast. And this system that's off the African coast is what we're really going to have to keep an eye on, because you're able to see where the highlighted red region likely to head in that direction. I'll tell you why. It's because usually what happens is that we have these steering currents. It's these high pressure systems that are over the Atlantic, and tropical systems do not like high pressure systems. And so this little disturbance that is just in the mid-Atlantic, 20% that I just showed you, that's going to take the path of least resistance, be swept northward, eventually might strengthen into a tropical storm or a tropical depression in the meantime, but it's going to remain a fish storm, just remaining over open water. It's that system that's just off the African coast. That's going to take a more southerly track just south of those high pressure systems. And that's why we're really keeping an eye on that system as it makes its long journey across the Atlantic. Of course, we don't have an organized system yet. We're waiting for that to happen before we get more of a named storm. But it's gonna come into contact with some warmer waters closer to the Caribbean, and that's when we could see, just right before it reaches the Caribbean, could see that formation of maybe a tropical system, very well likely going into the coming days. So we have to watch this for around August 15th. This is by next weekend is where it could start nearing the Caribbean. Models are indicating that we could see a high that's going to be over Florida and the East Coast U.S. That could protect the U.S. from this system. So it very well could take the path of least resistance moving northward. However, we're going to have to still watch this system because look, it could go south of that high, and so that's why I have a question mark there, because there's a lot of uncertainty on how far north it could take. GFS and European models are taking it north into the Atlantic, remaining over open water, but you know, it's still too early to tell on what could happen with that system going into the coming days. And if we do get a named storm, we will have Aaron. We've only had tropical storms so far this hurricane season out in the Atlantic basin. So if we do get a named hurricane, it will be Aaron. And we haven't had a hurricane yet. It's been pretty quiet out there, and we haven't had much impacts from any of those storms, and we hope it stays that way in the coming days. So looking at the above normal temperatures, it's going to remain hot and humid. Highs for this time of year here in Houston, usually around 96 degrees. We could see it just remain maybe 97, 98, but that rain chance is really going to just save us from being all that much hotter going into those afternoon hours. We're just going to continue to track those showers and storms every afternoon as the kiddos head back to school. So just make sure just to pack an umbrella or a rain jacket as they're making their way to and from school. Could see that rain chance in the picture for Monday morning. So just pay attention, tune in tonight for the KHOU 11 news at 10 p.m. so you can just get the latest forecast to see if we're going to have a stormy morning. Usually these models are just hit or miss when it comes to these systems. So mostly hot and humid, storm chances lasting for the next 7 days. So be safe out there. If you come into a downpour, just slow your speed and be extra cautious on those roadways. And make sure to tune in later on today around 6:30, we will have our next KHOU 11 news stream, and we are expecting mostly stormy conditions for this afternoon. So once again, be on the lookout for those downpours. And as always, you can find the latest weather updates and the latest updates on the tropics on KHOU.com and on the KHOU 11 app. Again, I'm meteorologist Chris Ramirez with your extended forecast, and thank you for watching.